change the things around you. Oh, what you gonna love inside of you? Oh, when you gonna hear his revelation? Oh, oh, let it move inside of you.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Awesome. Well, this is another amazing day, and welcome everyone to another amazing episode of Infinite Perspectives, where voices become vision and vision becomes transformation. I, of course, am Michelle Diamond, the voice, author, PR strategist, founder of Next Level Promotion, and co founder and steward of Infinite Perspectives. Linda?
Yes, thank you, Michelle. I am Linda Boston. I am LB, founder of Peer Incorporated, which stands for Portable Educational and Entertainment Repertoire. I'm an author, I'm an actress, a singer, a community builder, and a co-founder and steward of Infinite Perspectives. Tonight's conversation is about something every one of us experiences. The journey of becoming. Because behind every encouraging word, every motivational message, and every person who inspires others, there is usually a story that almost broke them first. Tonight, we discover the person behind the purpose.
Ooh, beautiful. Thank you, Linda. And to piggyback off of you, sometimes people meet us after the healing, right?
Yeah.
After the growth, after we've learned to smile again. But they never see the chapters that came before. The uncertainty, the setbacks, the moments when we questioned everything. Tonight isn't about pretending we've arrived. It's about honoring the journey that continues to shape us.
Yes.
Infinite Perspectives, of course, is proudly brought to you by Peer Incorporated, Next Level Promotion, a division of Infinite Perspectives Brands, Moniker Enterprises, Carlotta Cole, the brand, and Unlimited Networks Property Management.
Yes, we thank them tremendously for their support. Tonight, we welcome Ronnie Conyers, also known as True Born, founder of Motivation Through Madness, a man committed to encouraging others through authenticity, transparency, and the lessons he's gathered while walking his own journey. Ronnie, we welcome you to Infinite Perspectives.
Thank you for the introduction, ladies. With gratitude, I'm glad to be here. I'm honored, and it's just a blessing to be here and be able to tell my story and just give people an infinite perspective of me.
Absolutely. I love that. Gratitude. Ooh, I love it. So here we are. And because our viewers don't know you, and of course, we know of you, but no one truly knows you until you choose to share who you truly are, right? So who was Ronnie? Before there was Motivation Through Madness, before people knew you as True Born, there was simply Ronnie.
Absolutely.
What kind of child were you?
Well, from what I can remember from from 3 years old, I know that, I wanted to be a lively child, fun child. But, I knew also that I had, lost my moms. And I lost my moms at 5 years old. So, I was kind of angry child at the same time, a confused child, you know, a wondering child, you know, always trying to figure out why, you know, things, you know, happen. And to me, you know, the way, you know, why, you know, my mom was gone, and, you know, why I was going through the things I was going through at such a young age.
Mhm.
So, you know, a lot of striving to figure out just, you know, what this life was about and why I was here. You know, in the first stages, you know, just a lot of confusion, a lot of, you know, just, you know, at such a young age, you know, there's a lot to process.
Yeah.
You know, you lose your mom at 5 months old. I was taken in by her sister, and, you know, I went through some changes, you know, growing up, you know, with my aunt. So it was a lot different. You know, it wasn't, you know, never really felt like home, even though, you know, certain things were in place. But, you know, like I said, it was just a lot of confusion, a lot of wondering, a lot of anger, a lot of bitterness. Just not just wondering, just didn't know why. You know.
Right. So let me ask you this: with you expressing how your origin started, and unfortunately, right at the beginning, you were hit with a lot of obstacles, right? And life experiences, like you're learning right away, and a lot of questions arose with that. What did you dream about through all of that? Because we know as a child, we usually have amazing dreams or dream of, you know, certain situations. What was your mindset like at that time with your dreams?
Yeah. You know, at that early stage, you know, I always dreamt about being rich, and I always dreamt just about like being rich, being wealthy, just living a wealthy life. You know, that was always one of my dreams. I always felt like I was going to be, you know, I was just born to be rich. It was just like, you know, part of my purpose. You know, not just for myself, but also, you know, to help others out. You know, and just, you know, I always felt like I was supposed to be a part of, you know, royalty. You know. You know, even though I went through the things I was going through you know, at an early age and everything, I still, even though, you know, I would say this, even though I had less than, I never felt less than.
Beautiful. I
You
love
know,
that. I love that.
it
That
was
is the
always, yeah, it was always something inside me that knew that I was different
Yeah.
and knew that, you know, I was here to do more and I had a purpose. It was just about figuring that purpose out. You know, that's how I was summing that up. You know, especially at an early age.
right.
It was
Okay.
just something, you know, I always felt, I always had that innate feeling like I knew something, you know, I was destined, you know, I was here for a reason, even though, you know, like I said, there was a lot of confusion, a lot of, you know, bitterness at a point, you know, because once I did realize that, you know, my mom was gone, you know, and, you know, I was living with my aunt, you know, even though, you know, that was my mom, you know, that's who, you know, I consider my mom,
Mhm.
but I still knew that she wasn't my biological.
Yeah.
And, you know, and how that came about, you know, will be told. You know, I have a short story out on YouTube right now where you know, I go more into depth about that. But yeah, so with that transition alone, you know, that you know, that was a whole different dynamic.
Right. We'll definitely touch on everything. So
Yeah.
you've mentioned losing your mom and your aunt raised you. So would you say that your aunt then was the person that helped shape your early life?
Mm.
And when you look back, what moments stand out as defining your foundation?
Well, growing up with my aunt, you know, it was chaotic. You
Okay,
know,
this is a safe space, and
yeah,
you know
yeah,
you're open to share, and we're here. Take your time, and you know, do
absolutely,
your thing. Be
absolutely.
you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you know, it was chaotic, you know, and it was a lot of abuse and a lot of, you know, verbal abuse, physical abuse. You know, I wasn't, you know,
Mm,
you know, I felt outcasted and like, you know, the black sheep, and you know, it all started from, you know, pretty much my school days, because, you know, even though we live in Unionville, suburban area, good neighborhood, there wasn't no signs of poverty really. So now I was the kid that looked like I was from the ghetto, coming to school looking like from the ghetto, I peed in the bed, so that didn't help. I came to school smelled like pee, and and I got picked on a lot. So, going to school and going, then being, acting up, because of that, getting into fights, and just being rebellious, in the classroom, trying to be a class clown, trying to get attention, things of that nature, So with that accumulation of things, and then getting in trouble, with they getting suspended or getting kicked out of class, and then they calling home, going home, and my aunt, she was strict about that, so that led into me getting beat, and and like I said, that led into the physical abuse, the verbal abuse, and things of that nature. So as far as her like shaping the person I was, I can't really give her that credit. I said, because it was, like I said, not for nothing. It was innate. I always knew that I was supposed, even though, and I'm not playing the victim, and I'm not trying to, ask for sympathy. I don't want nobody feeling sorry for me, because, I'm here. I'm here. Motivation through madness. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's my movement. That's my vibe. That's my lifestyle. So regardless of what I've been through, like I said, it's still motivation through madness. I'm still here. At the end of the day, this is just my story to tell, and I think that it's very important for people to hear, especially coming from someone like me. That like we was talking earlier, pretty much, like an ordinary person, who they, ordinary or whatever, sometimes, you hear a lot of these stories from celebrities or people with fame, fortune, whatever like that, and no, I'm a regular person, yet, my perspective is different of life. I don't, I know, even though we go through our trials and tribulations, I've been through, a variety of different things, and I've been all type of different people too, and
right.
So
then I want to bring you back then,
Yeah.
because you said, no pun intended, that you can't really say that she shaped your early life or defined your foundation. Who would you say helped shape your life and defined your foundation then?
Good question.
Good question. I would say my environment, the people that I met throughout, that the time, because I stayed with my aunt from I'll say, she raised me, and I give her credit for that. She took me in. I'm not taking nothing away. She took me in,
Right.
I believe she loved me the best way that she could have, from the best of her ability, and how she knew how to, She also had a older son who was 5 years older than me, so I knew it was a lot on her, and I don't know if she was still processing the death of her sister also. So all that can, so all that can factor in.
Exactly.
There
are a lot of moving
so
pieces
I don't want
in this story.
Yeah. So I don't want it to seem like I'm discrediting her in any way.
Of course not.
No, we don't get
You're
that.
speaking your truth. This is
Absolutely.
your
I gotta speak my
perspective.
truth.
Everybody's perspective is different. Right, and have to be true to
Absolutely.
yourself. That's the name True Born. And I love it.
Absolutely.
So with that, I love that you said your environment, the community, the people that you came across, and even though, your aunt did play a hand in your upbringing, you're not discrediting what she did for you. Was there a moment through this process with the environments and the others that helped shape and mold who you are standing as True Born today? Was there a moment when life began to change, and did you recognize it at the time or only later on in life?
That's
Great question. Well, yeah, like I said, I was in when I lived with my aunt from about, like I said, 5 months to about 10 years old, because of the nature of things that was going on in the household. I got put in a foster care. I was in foster care, group homes, juvenile locked up. So about, from like 10 to 19 years old, but let me not get too far ahead. So anyway, like you asked me about what was that, defining moment, pretty much. The defining moment when I was 14 years old. I was living in Roosevelt, Long Island. I was going to Roosevelt Junior Senior High School. And at that time, Roosevelt, Long Island, shout out to Strong Island. They had Roosevelt, Long Island had a big presence of 5%, the 5% Nation of Islam. Like I would say, like in Long Island, that was like the Mecca at that time. Like there was a lot of, the 5% Nation was real prevalent out there.
Yes.
So, and like I said, growing up, the environment, the people I came across, not for nothing, my older cousins and brothers, they were into that also. So, and the people that my cousin hung around in Unidale, they were into the 5% Nation of Islam too. And like I said, I always felt like there was something inside me that wanted to do better, wanted to know more about myself, wanted to know more about my people, wanted to do for my people, you know what I mean, as well as myself. I always knew that I wanted to grow. So at that time, the 5% Nation, that was there. I didn't want to get into the gangs. I didn't know. I never was a thug, a gangster, anything like that. I had my fights. I always stood my ground. But I wouldn't consider myself a thug again. I was always a man about mine. At the end of the day. So like I said, the 5% Nation was appealing to me. That's what I gravitated to. And I was I believe if I'm correct, January 10th, 1989 was when I got born into the 5% Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was 14 years old. And that was the defining moment. That's what led me into where I'm at now.
Very interesting. Sometimes we don't discover who we are until life removes us from who we thought we had to be. So that's interesting. With you sharing what you experienced with, losing your mom at an early age and, basically not having the greatest upbringing with the one that, took you in because of certain things. She may have still been processing herself, just like you shared with us of losing her sister. And, certain things were not how you would have liked it to be. So that experience wasn't totally positive in a sense. And then being able to, or didn't have much of a choice, but to fend for self and then found your community, through the Nation of Islam. So very interesting.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's deep. It brings to mind the fact that there are no mistakes, because everything that you've been through, as sorrowful as it may be, is what shaped and molded you and brought us here today, right? Brought you to the madness, through the madness. Your organization is called Motivation Through Madness. That's a powerful name, my brother.
Thank you.
Tell us the story behind it. What was the madness? You've probably shared some of it, but I want to hear it articulated in your words, because as you talk, I know that people that may think they're going through madness are getting nuggets, gems, diamonds from you at this moment. Okay? So what was the madness? What season of life inspired those words?
And it's so ironic because it's like, even, when like I said, at 14 years old, I entered the 5% Nation of Islam. Not to discredit the 5% Nation of Islam either. However, right now I'm just on a spiritual journey. I don't claim anything. I'm true. I stick with my name, True Born, because I earned that through blood, sweat, and tears. But as far as like, I'm not under anybody's umbrella. I'm on my spiritual journey. I'm on my healing journey. I'm on a growth and development journey right now. So I just want to make that clear. However, the madness actually happened. We got, throughout the years and everything that I was going through, things, ups and downs, trials and tribulations, the juvenile lockups, doing county time and everything. The madness actually happened when my daughter was battling cancer. That is the whole inspiration.
Come on.
The motivation through madness. Pardon me.
That's all right.
Hmm.
That's okay.
Safe space. You're okay.
Wow. That's powerful to hear.
And
You know,
Mhm.
yeah, my daughter was battling rare cancer called osteosarcoma, and you know,
mm,
2021.
mm,
And I swear to you, like, I was just so amazed about her resiliency.
mm,
She never complained.
Wow.
She never asked, why me? Why is this happening to me? At least I never heard it. I never seen that side of her.
Mhm.
I never, she always thought about everybody else. I remember her, you know, my sister was going through a little something, and she called her my sister, asking, you know, what's going on, you know, with you. Don't worry about me. I'm going to be good. You know, looking at the, you know, her little brothers, making sure, you know, they was all right. And that's just how she was, you know, just across the board with everybody, with everything, you know, from my end. I never seen her complain anything. You know, it came to a point that, you know, she had to get her leg cut off. And, you know, she even joked with the doctors like, well, what y'all gonna do with my leg when y'all cut it off? I want my leg. Don't, I ain't gonna experiment with my leg. Bring me my leg when y'all cut it off. Like, you know, and it just goes to like her spirit, you know, like I said, her resiliency, her you know, the way she was thinking. She never, you know, she never played victim. She never, you know, she always had that empathy for everybody else, that common courtesy, you know, that love still, regardless. Like she didn't become bitter, she didn't become angry, you know, and for me that was like so amazing, you know, and you know, even though you know you know, every day between me and her wasn't the best, you know, we had ups and downs while she was, you know, going through her transitioning. However, she showed me that look, regardless of what I'm going through, I'm still staying positive. I'm still going to enjoy the moments I have here. You know, you know, I'm not going to dampen your day. I'm not going to make anybody else feel, you know, anyway because what I'm going through.
right.
You know, and you know that was the inspiration.
So that makes me ask you, did her love, because that's love you're describing from her, unconditional love that she was sharing with you in her journey of trials and tribulations.
Mm.
Did you ever feel like you were losing yourself? Did her love keep you from losing yourself?
I felt
Did it
like,
help keep you going, for that matter?
you know, and I'm still processing all of this, you know, to this day. You know, I felt like I should be doing more. I felt like I'm not doing enough. I didn't do enough. I feel like to this day, I feel like, you know, she should have been here. She should be here.
Mm. Ooh, take your time. I'm going to pause you there so we could have a moment to just sit and give acknowledgement so that we could take in everything that was just shared, because I believe this moment deserves a little grace. And you have, of course, amazing supporter tuning in, you know, from one of the platforms on Instagram. We have, you know, Mr. Kason. We shouted him out earlier, and he's here, you know, one of your biggest supporters. And you know, from the beginning,
magnificent man, humble.
yes,
Like,
yes, he is. Yes, he is. And he started from the beginning when we you know, posed the first question. He said, great question. And he said, well said. And then he reiterated your comment when you said, even though I had less than, I never felt less than. And, you know, he said, peace to the gods and earths. And he said, you got this, brother. He's very proud of you, G. And he gave the heart when you started to tear up. And he said, peace, family, love you. And we love you back. We love you back. I just wanted to give the acknowledgments there. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your support and love always, Kisan.
All the time.
That's really a
That's my bro. That's my
foundation
brother
right
right
there.
there.
The fact that he's your brother, the fact that he's there for you, the fact that you are here to tell the story and teach so much.
Yes.
And I would think that
He actually, I'm sorry not to cut you off, but he actually.
Go ahead. No, you're
No,
not cutting.
he actually producing everything, did all the behind the scenes, the editing and everything for the story that I'm telling on.
Oh wow, beautiful,
on
beautiful.
YouTube. Yeah.
Sometimes our
He's
greatest
the magic man. He's the magic man. Salute to K-Son.
absolutely. Sometimes our greatest message born from our greatest struggle. And I don't want to milk the madness, for lack of a better term, but was there any time when you said or when you realized I can't continue living like this?
Oh, absolutely. And that's also, was the, the inspiration and the objective too. Is like, like I said, I'm not coming on here acting like, I don't have my days. Like I said, I've been all type of, I don't know if I can say here the N-word. I've been that fake brother, that you know what I'm saying, that evil brother, So, I played a lot of different roles, and I knew that no, that life is not gonna work for me. I'm true born. If I'm saying I'm true born, then that's what I gotta be. True to myself and to others. I wanted to be able to look myself in the mirror, honestly, and have a conversation with myself and be proud of myself and not have to shun away, and it takes a lot of work. And I'm still a work in process. At the same time.
We all
Right.
are. To think we've arrived would be a mistake. We all are continually a work in progress.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I concur. Yeah. So with everything that you've shared, so much to digest. And with that, you still stay true to who you were. And as you said, the motivation through madness. And this is something that's going to be echoing because it takes strength to move through a lot of obstacles and boulders that may be thrown your way. And with that, reclaiming your power, right? One thing you shared with us is that you want people to reclaim their power. I'd love to know, when did you realize you had to reclaim yours?
Come on.
When, I started being influenced by certain things, and allowing myself to give energy, pour energy into certain people, places, and things. When I started realizing that my boundaries are being continuously crossed, and like I'm not even holding up to my morals and values, and like I said, like I'm not being true to myself. So I knew things have to change. I can't continue to call myself true born and not live up to being true born. And not only that, like I said, I feel like I have to carry on the legacy that my daughter left for me. Like she inspired. I felt that was her gift to me. When she transitioned, was that change your ways, regardless of what you're going. Motivation through madness. You stay positive. You stay focused. You keep going. You don't quit.
Yes.
I'm going to be there for you. And I feel her presence with me all the time. So I feel her presence with me all the time. I feel like we even.
I was wondering. Yeah.
And not for nothing, I'm gonna share this with y'all also. When my daughter was transitioning and she was in hospice, I was actually down here. She was in New York, and I was here. I got the call. I went to New York. My daughter waited for me. My daughter took her last breaths while I was laying next to her.
Wow.
So she and nobody can tell me different. She waited for me.
Yes.
you know,
Absolutely.
and she, you know, because she wanted, she wanted to know to the end, like, you know, I held on to, and now it's time for you to continue to carry the torch from here.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, so touching. I love it. And I just want to go back. Kay Son said, of course, to your comment when you said that he helped with the documentary, and he said it is his honor. And yeah, thank you, Kay Son. I see your hands up, the prayers. It's very
Yeah, you're
deep.
gonna support to the fullest all the time.
Absolutely. And we'll come back to your question, Charles. Um, I wanted to, because you shared that, reclaiming your power. So when you talk about being true to yourself and, you know, being better than you were before, that's a healing journey, in plainly put. So what did healing actually look like? Was it
Whew.
quick or was it a process?
It's an ongoing process. It's a
Wow.
never-ending process. You
Yeah.
think you don't get healed overnight. Like I said, I don't wake up like, you know, the difference between, you know, me having a good day and not crashing out is because of the mindset, the affirmations that I say to my soul, the value and the love that I pour into my soul. I tell people this: when you can't control nothing else in the world, you can control yourself. You
There
have
you go.
free will. Pour into yourself. Love on yourself. Look, and it's hard. I know it's hard, but you have to look at what your failures, your faults, and be honest with yourself. Look, always, because there's always room for improvement. We're like the most imperfect, perfect people on earth. So
Yes.
there's always room for improvement, and I also had to remember that, I had to start setting boundaries, and I had to, be a certain type of person and stand on that because, as you healing, a lot of people will try so hard to make you relive your past. They will
You better
try
come
so
on. You
hard
better
to make
use
you
the push
relive
supply.
your past.
Say it
You
again.
know, and when you are healing, so many people will try to make you relive your past because that's where they at, And I tell people all the time, this also, look, I'm not stuck there. What you feel about me is how you feel about me. That's your issue. That's your problem. I don't wake up feeling like, oh, I'm this, or True Born is this. No, True Born is the man. When I wake up in the morning, that's how I feel. And I'm not, it's not about being cocky or anything like that. It's just about loving on me. I gotta love on me first. How am I gonna love anybody else? Or if I don't love on me first, if I don't pour it to me first. So it's always about me first, and that's just what it is. And I always tell
Great.
people that, So
I love that, and great message. And I love the fact that you said, it's an ongoing process. And that question was posed for a reason, because there are a lot of people with the misconception that healing is something that happens overnight.
No, not at all.
You may have had an issue or certain things that, challenges or boulders thrown at you that happened 20, 30 years ago, and you're still processing and dealing with it in your present, because it's a healing process, and no one could tell you how fast you can heal or how slowly you can take to heal, because the thing that they have to remember is your process is just that. It's yours.
Right.
It's not theirs. It's yours. So however you choose to heal, whether it's quickly or it's a continual growth, then that's just what it is, because this is your journey and your process, and that's it. You don't have to explain yourself to anybody about how quick or how slow you're taking. And I think it's the perfect time to bring this question. Charles said, sorry he tuned in late. We appreciate you for your love and support always, Charles. And he threw a question out there, and he says, and just because you said true born is wake up and he's true born and you're true to yourself, he said, what does true born mean?
True born. When I define true born, I look at a person who is just authentic, transparent, and lives up to all his morals and values and principles. True born is a man who has struggled, has been on both sides, the struggle, and now I'm evolving, So
I love
as I
that.
said, the most important thing that I want people to know about True Born is that, like I said, I come to the people as the people, authentic, transparent, real. Talk to me, I talk back. I'm not putting on a bunch of theatrics or
Hmm.
anything extra. This what you see is what you get.
What you
So,
get.
and at the same time, like I always say, I'm gonna show you love. I'm gonna show you love. And it's just know, as much as I show you love, there's another side of me also.
Mhm.
Motivation through madness, all day, every day.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. So you've shared so much about authenticity and being true to the process and, aligning with your purpose in life, in a nutshell. What still challenges you today? And what does authenticity mean to you in your now?
Mhm.
Mm, good question. Well, still have my triggers, like as we spoke on earlier, stated just a few months ago, from past experiences, still have my triggers, I'm still working on anger issues, my thought process, so when you factor all those things in, that those are things that, I'm still, working on and it's helping me, work through being authentic, and because of, the motivation and inspiration to have to be authentic, I'm, putting in that work. I'm being proactive. I'm making sure that I take the steps,
Yeah.
So when I'm feeling those triggers, when I'm feeling certain type of ways, or when I, get up some days and I'm not, I'm not feeling so good. It's like I'm pushing myself, or like I said, I'm saying those affirmations to myself. I'm meditating. I'm finding different alternatives,
Beautiful.
to stay on the right track. And every
Yes.
day is different. I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not perfect. I have my days. However, I don't let that control me and dictate the way that I'm going to carry out the whole day.
Yeah.
I'm
I love
still going to get in control. All right, I'm gonna snap right. Okay, all right. I might be a little angry here and there. Okay, this happened. All right, yeah. Oh, no, know what? No, that's we get back focused. Let's
I
get back
love it.
focused. You know, so
And this is
and
such a beautiful raw conversation because
Mhm.
it's speaking to everyone because we all have those moments when we're like, oh, wait a minute, I think I snap back to the old me. Let me pull myself together real quick. Come on, girl,
right,
you can do it. Like we did too much work to have a slip. So pull it together.
exactly,
Go
right,
for a walk. Woosah. So
right.
we totally get it, and I just love that you're very open and willing to share with us. So let me
Absolutely.
pose this question to you because you talked about the transparency, just being your authentic you and I want to dig a little deeper. What have you had to forgive yourself
Mm.
or others to continue moving forward?
Mm.
Mhm.
Whew. Had to forgive myself for you know not applying the
Mm,
knowledge that I received. When I said I got into the 5% Nation of Islam, I learned so much and I gained so much knowledge, and and I wanted to be better, and I just so gun ho about my name is True Born and I'm the God, and not really applying the lessons and the knowledge that I learned as far as being a better person, being the best version of myself, respecting the black woman, and really uplifting her and just uplifting my being a pillar of my community and just doing things different. So that's one of the things that I have to forgive myself about. I have to
Mhm.
forgive myself for the way I used to run the streets, the things that I used to do in the street,
mm,
Mhm.
the things that I did to other people. And I'm still striving to forgive myself for that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm so passionate about that because it's like I know nobody owes me nothing. you know, it's like, and now, you know, these days I just strive to be so grateful for the littlest of things, because, you know, it means so much to me, you know, especially like, you know, nothing that I want to say this too, you know, for everybody that was there, all the support that I got from friends and family, like my college buddies, and, you know, people, you know, that friends just came about, you know, like K-Son and stuff like that. When my daughter passed, you know, the donations and stuff that they gave, and just the support and the love, you know, that they, you know, that meant so much to me. And, you know, it's like, I can't, like, I feel forever in debt for that, you know. So, you know, saying that, you know, like I said, I had to forgive myself for the times when when I wasn't like that, when I didn't care. You know, when I took advantage of people, when I, you know, the dirt that I did do, you know, and you know, I had to. It's like it's the shadow work, you know, and I'm still reflecting on that, because it's just like, you know, you striving, you know, like right now you're striving to become a better. I'm striving to become a better person. I'm living a different way, you know, and you know, I'm putting out, you know, positive vibes and energy, things of that nature. But then you got those people in the past. That's all they know you as, the past. So, you know, so you have to be mindful of that also. You know, you have to be, you know, practice discernment and be careful of how you move too when you're back in those environments, in case you do end up back in those environments or around those, you know, those people, places, and things. You know, so it's a balance. It's a balance. It's definitely a balance, and some days are easier than others. You know, but yeah, like I said, it's a lot of forgiveness. You know, and a lot of forgiveness. You know, and you know, also forgiving other people too. You know, for the things that that they have done to me too, you know. And like I said, I don't want to play the victim, you know, because I'm hit, I'm still standing. I don't look like nothing I've been through, you know, and I'm grateful for that. All praises due, you know, all the time, you know. So it's like, but yeah, that forgiveness too, because I carried a lot of bitterness. I carried that chip on my shoulder, you know, that anger, like that, like that I'm no, that get back. It's like no, this is not the end, you know. So I had to let that go. I had to, you know, that resentment, that angerness, that bitterness. Like I said, motivation through madness, you know, and it involves all of that. It involves letting all that go, all that factors in when you're talking about motivation, because, you know, without action, motivation is nothing. You know, you have to put some action. You got to be proactive with this motivation. You know, you can say you're motivated all the time, but it's be sitting on the couch procrastinating.
I love that.
You know, so, you know, it's all about action. It's all about action too.
Action is a huge part of healing, staying committed to the path. And I love that you stated that. And I'm going to go back to the comments, because K-Son is sharing some knowledge and dropping some powerful stuff here, and just being such an amazing support system. He said, I don't know about your past guests, but I can say with absolute certainty that this one is for the Infinite Perspectives history books. Powerful stuff here. We concur. And then he said, very inspiring. And as the nation always taught us, it's never about being perfect. It's about striving, all caps, for perfection. We backslide and get back up and recalibrate. Get back on course again. You are an inspiration. And he said, everyone who watches this will surely be motivated to navigate through our own personal madness in this thing called life. So true, K-Son.
Gratitude. Oh, man. That's
so deep. And, you know, to piggyback off of what K-Son says, I agree. The nation talks about, you know, striving to be better. And healing doesn't erase the past, which is pretty much what they're saying. Like, we're going to go through stuff, you know, but it does change our relationship with it. So we always have to remember that.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Something you said that sticks with me is releasing that resentment. Resentment hold us back. And, you know, when we think about you coming from surviving to serving, now you're encouraging others. You know, why is that important to you?
It's therapeutic. It's therapeutic. And it gives me, you know, takes me away, like I said, from, you know, having that mindset of being angry and being depressed, or, you know, having that victim mindset, you know, even having a narcissistic mindset, you know. You know, so it's very therapeutic, you know, just being able to help somebody, you know, putting a smile on your face. Just, you know, and I don't have a big following, I don't have a lot of subscribers or whatever, but it doesn't matter because I'm doing this from the heart. This, like I said, this is a lifestyle. This is my movement. This is a vibe. This is every day. When I wake up in the morning, motivate. All praises due to the Almighty Creator. You know, say my affirmations, but it's motivation through madness. It's motivation because I know that I have to keep that mindset. Because I know how easily I can, you know, astray from that, you know, go away from that. And I don't want to be that person, you know. And honestly, I never wanted to be that person. That's something that I also realized. I never wanted to be.
Never wanted to be that person.
I mean, not like half the experiences that I went through, I wouldn't have went through them. You know, if I had a structured lifestyle, you know, I would have been what you might have called a square or something because, you know, that's in my heart.
Yeah,
that's what's in my heart. I know that's what's in my heart to be a good natured person, you know, to be a kind person, to show empathy, to have common courtesy, you know, to spread knowledge. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I want the best. I want the best for myself. I think the best of myself, and I'm striving every day to, you know, to exude that, to show that, you know, to the world. You know, and you know, not only prove that to myself, but prove that to the world. You know, show that to my children and things of that nature. You know, my significant other. You know, things of that nature. And like I said, you know, it's not easy. I had to cut off family, friends. You know, and like I said, I'm down here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't deal with a lot of people. You know, I handle my business, and that's about it. Because you know, my circle is like a period. My circle is a period. So and that's just what it is, point blank period. I'm not, you know, I'm not into a lot of things that I used to be into. You know, I cut a lot of things out of my life. You know, I started exercising, detoxing, meditating, you know, and just, you know, eating better, you know, and things of that nature. So it all plays a part. Everything that you do plays a part. Everything from what you put in your body outside of your body. And I'm sorry if I'm rambling. But
this is beautiful.
You know, it's also important that, you know, people we have to realize that, look, we want to look good on the outside. Yeah. Everybody want to look good on the outside. On the inside. If y'all haven't seen, if y'all haven't seen, not for nothing, Motivation Through Madness all day, every day. You know? But yes, you know, and that's why just as much as you want to look good on the outside, it's just as important as looking good on the inside.
So, so now that makes me ask you, what kinds of conversations do people have with you that stay with you?
You know,
he may have had a little disconnection with his Wi-Fi, but that's okay. We'll keep it going. So Linda, before he comes back, since we're waiting for him, we won't pause or let it happen like that. We could just talk about some things that we have going on.
What's powerful? He's saying, here he is. He's right here.
He's back. Great.
I'm back. Yeah, I'm sorry. Something happens.
No, that's okay. That happens.
That's okay. It happens. We continue.
Where we left off is, what kinds of conversations do people have with you that stay with you?
These type of conversations right here. I have to have these type of conversations. I honestly, I can't just talk to anybody and everybody anymore. You know, going through, you know, this healing, the spiritual journey, the things that you know, the boundaries that I'm setting, you know, things that I'm acquiring in life and the things that I want to do and achieve. I can't just have a conversation. I can't just give my energy to anybody and everybody anymore. I can't just put myself in certain situations. And I just, that's why, you know, I stay to myself. You know, solidarity is important also. You know, you got to be by yourself sometimes. Listen to your thoughts, listen to yourself, you know, and like I said, do that shadow work. Yeah. And, you know, and so it's hard for me to go doing that and go back around people that's doing the same thing or not having that mentality. You know, so I strive to, it's rough. And I'm just being honest. It's hard to have conversations with people nowadays, you know, especially in this climate that we're living in. It's like everybody is so dependent or need or a leader, you know, need something to depend on. And it's like, we have free will.
Yeah.
You have free will. And one thing too about Motivation Through Madness is like, I have a lot of knowledge, But you never, like I said, I'm just straight, raw, authentic, and transparent on my page.
Mhm.
My whole thing is striving to get you to even have the mindset to even accept the knowledge that you so into getting. Some people, you rushing into wanting this knowledge, wanting to know what's going on with this, wanting to know how you going to, really, and take that. How if you're not even prepared. So one thing about motivation through madness is really striving to prepare people. Prepare yourself to love on yourself, to have the mindset, to change your perspective, and things of that nature. Because, like I said, when I first entered, the 5% Nation of Islam, it was so much coming at me, and even at a young age, but it was like I didn't know what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to navigate it because, I didn't have the mindset for it at the time.
Something you've mentioned a couple of times in this interview that I don't hear men talk about much. And women, I've done it. Michelle's probably done it. We talk about shadow work, mirror work, stuff like that. Very seldom do you hear about men want to look at shadow work, because that requires you to look at the deep inside little boy in you.
Yes.
Where you were at 5, where you were at, as far back as you can remember, and deal
Absolutely.
with it.
Absolutely.
So I would think that people misunderstand that strength. There's a strength that it takes for you, particularly as a man, to engage in that kind of self-therapy, that kind of self-analyzation and intuitive walk with yourself. So what does walking in your truth actually look like?
Ooh.
Man, it can be rough. It can be rough because you got to be honest with yourself. Yeah. And, sometimes it can make you dislike yourself or make you look at yourself like, I did that? I was really that type of person? Like, what was I thinking? Like, what? Yeah, and for me, that's what it was. Honestly, it was like, oh, man, no. Like, please, it's like I'm really out there asking for people like, please forgive me. Like, I'm sorry, I ain't know I was like that. I didn't even realize that I was doing all that or, was even capable of this. Like, that's crazy, sometimes. And you just have to, like I said, it's rough. It's rough. And it takes a lot of honesty, discipline. And, you have to buckle down, and if you really want to be healed, you want to be the best version of yourself. You really want to, be a person that can help others and be authentic with others. That's something that needs to be done. Point blank. Everybody needs to do that.
That leads me to ask you this: if someone watching tonight feels stuck, what would you want them to hear first?
I want you to hear yourself. Hear yourself, because you can't lie to yourself with so much. You know who you are. We can say anything to each other. It doesn't matter. You have to hear yourself. Hear yourself. That's where you got to start. You got to start with self. That's the best way I can say that.
And when you say that, I'm a proponent that the pen is the eye of the spirit. You have to write things down. You have to journal. You have to put it so that you can see what's going on up in your dome.
Right. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you write in a journal, that's you having a conversation with the Most High Divine Consciousness. You and the Divine Consciousness are talking together. That will help you hear yourself. A lot of people avoid it. A lot of people avoid it. And sometimes the strongest people aren't the ones who never fell. They're the ones who decided to rise again.
Right.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. You got it. Like I said, it's it's not an easy journey, and a lot of people starting to use spirituality, for monetary reasons, and just because it's popular or being an algorithm or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's why you see me, you know, I'm a person of many faces. You see, like I'm being real. I'm you know, if I however I'm inspired, could be in my robe or whatever. If I get up, I'm inspired. I'm letting you know, and I'm gonna give you my message. You know, get up, get out, go get it. Show some love, get some love. You know, and you know, like I said, don't quit. You know, don't. So what was we're not doing that over here. No, pick yourself up. You know, it's a better life out there for you, and don't worry about the things you can't control. You know, and you know, like I said, you know, and I say to people too, you know, I'm not going to cuss, but I say, you know, when life, you know, gives you his butt to kiss, beat the doodle out of it.
Yeah.
You know,
I love it.
Don't sit there and let, you know, things dictate the way that because you have free will, you are in control. And and as you were saying before, that's why, you know, you got to start with self. Listen to yourself. Listen to yourself.
So important.
You know?
And as you see, Kissan is back, and he says absolute facts. You see his comments coming in now. He jumped on our other channel so he could be right live and direct, and he says, "Live it and love it alive."
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, and that's, you know, we got to just we make things complicated, you know. And I find myself, like I said, I'm not perfect, and when I'm saying this, I'm talking to myself too, because like I said, I'm a continuous work in progress every day, you know. And you know, we make things complicated for ourselves by procrastinating or by double thinking or overthinking, you know. And do it. If you, we know you honestly know what's wrong and right. You know, you've been around long enough, you know, to know, all right, the consequences of your ways and actions. So don't make it complicated for yourself. You know, yeah, like I said, it's easier said than done. Absolutely, I will agree. However, it can be done. It's not impossible.
It's not
impossible. You know, and
you gotta love self enough to want to do it.
Of course, yeah. So this leads me to futuristic. You know, we've talked so much about where you've been and where you remembered who you are and who you've always been because you're standing in your truth. You know, we're talking about purpose and legacy now. When people hear your name years from now, Trevor, you know, what do you hope they remember? What legacy are you building? What does success look like today? And what still inspires you? And what gives you hope for the future?
Yes.
Well, in a nutshell, I just want people to remember me, you know, as being a person that's willing to give, willing to stand on the front line, you know, was always just authentic and, you know, just come to the people, you know, as they are. I was not non-judgmental, you know, non-judgmental person, a person that you can talk to and relate to, regardless of what situation you're in. You know, I'm some person that you can come to and speak with. You know, I'm going to show you love. And sometimes, you know, whatever I can do for you, I will do it for you, you know, at that time, you know. And, you know, what keeps me going is that because I feel like I know people hearing me, you know, regardless, you know, the comments I may get or whatever, you know, whatever the feedback I don't get or whatever the case may be. I know somebody's hearing me. I know I'm changing somebody's lives, you know, somebody's life, you know, and I'm so grateful for that. You know, much gratitude to everybody who tunes in and listens and, you know, just clicks on my page or whatever the case may be from day to day. You know, it's much gratitude. I'm so thankful for that because I know that what I'm saying is important. I know I got a story to tell, and I know that, you know, my I shake the room kind of, you know what I mean? You know, so it's like, listen up because, you know, you know, you're definitely going to get some inspiration, some motivation, you know, and even, you know, gain some knowledge. So, like I said, it costs you nothing. It costs you nothing to show some love, you know.
And I love that.
Right.
Thank you. So you answered all the questions in a nutshell. And what I'm going to say to you is this: purpose isn't found by avoiding the struggle. Sometimes purpose is discovered because of it.
Yes, absolutely, Michelle. Yes. And you know, I keep going back to that shadow work, that mirror work, there are books and books and books upon books that can help you work through shadow work.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
I
and
narrate one. There's an audio book called Mirror Work Works by Coach Greta Counts that I narrated for her. I've seen shadow work books at Five Below. So if you're running around trying to find out, well, how do I do the shadow work? There's no need to question.
You know, people scared.
Everywhere.
They're scared. It's scary to some people.
Yes.
It's scary to some people.
Yes.
You know, because you got to really dig deep. You got to really dig deep.
Very true. And Kason says, W.D. Fard said, if I could climb a mountain to save just one person, it wasn't all in vain. Yes, great.
Absolutely.
Nice pull quote. Love that
yeah.
pull quote. Thank you, Kason.
Always dropping jewels.
Pull quote.
Ronnie, before we wrap up, I'm wondering, is there anything we didn't ask you tonight that you'd like to leave with the viewers? And I want to give you time to really think about it. I want you to share whatever it is that you want folks to really grasp in tonight's interview, or that we didn't ask that you'd like to share.
No, definitely touched on a lot of things, and I'm definitely appreciative of that. You know, let me, get out of a lot of information, a lot about myself. I do, as I stated earlier, I don't know, but I have a story out on YouTube, small documentary right now, that, dives a little bit more into my life, and, who I am, and, things that are, leading up to where I'm at now. But this is like just the first part of it, so, it's still out there, y'all can, it's on YouTube, and that's also on my Instagram channel, and I just want people to know that you're special in your own way. Everybody's special in their own way. We have a gift. We have a purpose. You're not here for nothing. You have to find that purpose. And yes, it takes a lot of work, a lot of discipline. And you're going to have to dig deep. You're going to have to battle with things. You have to be up for the challenge. And I understand. I understand that a lot of people are not built that way. You're not built for it. It's okay. Move out the way. I'm not sugarcoating that. I'm not giving you no excuses. We got free will. If I can do it, you can do it. That's how I feel too. So let's make it happen. Get up, get out, and go get it. Show some love, get some love. Like I said, no doubts, no worries, no fears. We're not quitting over here. We staying strong. We staying positive vibes, energy all day, every day. Motivation through madness. So continue to be resilient. Continue to be your best self. Growth and development.
Okay. And where can they follow you? And
follow me. Follow me on YouTube, Motivation Through Madness at 6493. You can follow me on Instagram at Street Boy True, and that's all one word, Street Boy True, and that's STREET BOI. Boy is spelled BOITRUE. Street Boy True on Instagram, and I'm on TikTok also. So but mostly I'm on Instagram and YouTube right now.
Awesome. And to get another comment in, Indigo Starseed 9 says, mirror work works. So true.
That shadow work, that mirror work, all that's the same thing.
Yes. And Kason says, thank you for sharing. This was very moving. Oh, gratitude, Kason. We are so grateful that, Trueborn was with us and shared all these gems and connecting with real people, because that's what it's about. And that's what we do. Everyone that graced this platform, no matter what walks of life they come from, the core and the purpose here is to be your authentic self. And people throw that word, authenticity, authentic self around so much. But when we say authentic, it's overstanding, like you said, and remembering who you are, and truly embracing you and what your purpose is in life.
Mhm.
And you have talked and shared your story and did just that. And also through Motivation Through Madness, encouraging others to do the same, no matter what boulders are thrown at them. So
Yeah.
we truly appreciate that.
Mhm.
Well, definitely, I'm so grateful for y'all. Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate you, goddesses. You have a wonderful platform. Keep
Oh,
doing your thing also.
gratitude.
Well,
I
wait a
am
minute.
Beats shared a heart. I just wanted to get all the comments
Yeah.
that's coming
Yeah.
in. You
Yeah.
know, I am Beats said heart, heart, and we're giving you a heart right back. See, my heart
Yes.
is getting better.
Okay.
I'm a goofy one, guys. You guys know that. So I absolutely love that. And just to get it out the way, you shared how we could stay connected. Do you have any upcoming events or projects that we should know about?
Right now, I'm just evolving. I'm getting bigger and better. I do want to, expand my platform eventually. Come out with some merch, for y'all and everything. All eventually, and I will definitely, let y'all know when that time comes. But and as of right now, the biggest things I'm doing, just stay tuned to my Motivation Through Madness videos from day to day. On Instagram and YouTube. Check out that story of mine. Check out my documentary, and like always say too, talk to me, I talk back,
I
share,
love it.
comment, I'm here. Show
Love
some
it.
love and get some love. It costs you nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. So we always throw this question out, and it allows you to truly have a reflective conversation. That's what I like to call it. And if you could sit beside your younger Ronnie before he became true born self, what would you tell him today?
I would tell him that, regardless of your circumstances, you are loved. Your mom is with you. You are valued. You have a special gift. Be patient. Stay focused.
I love that. Just wanted that to sit for a moment and settle in. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Ronnie, for sharing that and encouraging your younger self. Because sometimes we have to have that conversation every day with our younger selves. It's a part of who we are, and
Mhm.
who we stand as today. So thank you so much for trusting us with your story.
Thank you
Absolutely.
again. Thank you all
Yeah.
again also.
Yeah. Your journey reminds us that growth isn't about perfection. It's about choosing to continue becoming, which is
Mhm.
what we're all doing.
Every
Yes,
day. Every day.
every day, all day.
Mhm.
That's absolutely who we are, what we do, and you know, it's you just left me breathless. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And
thank
it was,
you again for joining
You all.
us for another
Thank y'all for having me.
amazing episode of Infinite Perspectives.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we leave this with you and hope that whatever you have experienced in your past life, or you may be experiencing something right now,
Mhm.
remember that healing, to reiterate what we discussed earlier, it's a process. Take time, take care of yourself. Don't rush yourself. However
Yeah.
long it takes, take the time
Take the
because you
time.
only have one you.
Right.
And
Yes.
don't worry about all the outside people, like Ronnie shared earlier, and we always reiterate on the platform. We can't control the circumstances outside of us, but we can definitely control what happens right here.
Right here.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
If tonight's conversation inspired you as a listener, as a viewer, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. More importantly, we love you. We love your support. Um, and we want you to know that this platform is here for you. This is Infinite Perspectives.
Yes. Where voices become vision. And we had another comment that came in last minute. I love, or supporters love coming in and saying gratitude. A wonderful support sister of ours, the amazing Carlotta Cole, says, thank you so much, encouraging others, and gave hearts. So gratitude on Carlotta, or sister. I call her aunt, I call her sister. She's all of the above because she's just an amazing person. So again, your story has definitely touched so many people. And before we go, we had somebody else hop on Instagram and shared hearts. So we have everybody jumping in from all over. So to our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in and being here, encouraging and uplifting Trueborn with us and helping to share his story. Because of you tuning in, his story was shared with just a few more people. And we know that whatever you take away from this moment, you too will share that with others. And that's how we grow together. So continue to be blessed, love, and light. Until next time, this is Michelle Diamond, the voice, and the lovely LB, Linda Boston, and of course, the incredible Ronnie, better known as Trueborn. Until next time.
Gratitude.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
How you gonna change the things around you? Oh, what you gonna love inside of you? Oh, when you gonna hear his revelation?